Discipline. We've got to talk about discipline and why it's a bad thing for the Ducks right now. We'll also talk about some shoes on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jason JD Hernandez. I've been covering hockey for well over a decade. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. So once again, I'm the public address voice for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Also been covering minor league hockey for nearly a decade, by the way. Or AHL for nearly a decade, minors for longer than that. But let's get started and talk about the topics at hand. And this is kind of a carryover of sorts into what happened in last night's game at United Center. For those of you that missed it, it was fight night in Chicago last night. Even though the Ducks lost, the Ducks lost. They lost badly. And yes, we can get excited about some aspects of the game. Yes, we can get excited about Pavel Mintyukov coming into his own and be excited for a near goalie fight. But what led up to a lot of that was a lack of discipline, and that's going to be the big topic for this episode. It's been kind of a hot topic for the Ducks this entire season. But I actually went through some of the numbers and went through some of the exactitudes for this. So follow along with me if you want to, because it's going to get ugly, folks. So the Anaheim Ducks are the most penalized team in the National Hockey League. They lead the league in minor penalties this season. And I hate to break it to you, but it's not really close. The Anaheim Ducks, as of right now, lead the league in penalty minutes with 931, much of which came in last night's game. But most alarming, they have taken the most penalties this season, and that number is unfortunately not even close. They've taken a whopping 359 penalties. The next highest is the Panthers at 318. They also lead the league by far in minor penalties this season with 304. Now, they don't lead in major penalties. They're kind of like top 10, but minor penalties is where they get a lot of their damage against them done. And this is very unfortunate because the Ducks are better than this. Or rather, I should say the Ducks should be better than this. I say this with a little bit of hesitation, because lack of discipline has been kind of an issue for the Ducks over the past few seasons. It's gotten worse this year under Greg Cronin. And Greg Cronin is a hard-nosed type of coach. He likes getting those big bodies in there. He likes those hard checks. I think there is a fine line between those hard checks and getting penalized for it. Now, some of that has to do with some of the players they have on their personnel. Radko Gudas is a bit of a bruiser for the Anaheim Ducks. We know this. We also know that the Ducks they have a bit of a reputation, which also has to do with why the refs are tending to call more penalties on their side. I'm not going to feed fully into the conspiracy that everybody's against the Ducks and nobody wants to see the Ducks succeed and everybody wants to see the Blackhawks succeed because they're an original six team. I'm not going to feed into that. What I will allude to a little bit is that the Ducks have a tendency to get calls against them. And there is that tendency to say, oh, you know what? Maybe we'll give them that call, or maybe we'll say that one's against them. There's the tendency for that. So that I'll be honest about, folks. I totally will. Now, I'm actually glad that I held off on this one because this was originally going to be the Tuesday show, but given all the weird stuff that has happened over the last few hours, over the last game, I switched things around for obvious reasons. How about this? There is one category that the Ducks were leading the league in, were, and are no longer not. Now, I mentioned the Ducks are leading the league in penalties taken, in minor penalties. What they were leading the league in until last night was too many men penalties. And I actually had to take my pen and cross this one off last night. If I had recorded this last week like I originally wanted to, the Ducks would have been leading the league in too many men penalties. But that is no more. The Arizona Coyotes have overtaken them in that category. The Coyotes now have 11 too many men penalties this season. The Ducks have 10. And I actually wrote down a list of this. October 19th, too many men. October 28th, too many men again. You see a theme here, folks. November 5th, too many men. November 24th, this one was 2-in-1 game. That was a bad one. November 24th against the LA Kings, which directly led to their loss in that one. And one of those was really, really bad, folks, which directly led to a goal. So twice in November 24th. Then December 5th at Colorado, which may or may not have directly led to them losing that game by a goal in Colorado. The Ducks had a chance in that one and blew it. How about the 10th against Winnipeg? That one's in my memory. This one is really in my memory. December 21st against the Calgary Flames. What the heck are you all thinking? That was bad. Then January 3rd against Toronto Maple Leafs, the loss in overtime. All of these are really bad examples, folks. And for a while, the Ducks were getting better until just a week ago when they committed their 10th too many men penalty, giving them back the league lead. But thank you, Arizona Coyotes, for overtaking the Ducks in something. The Coyotes are terrible at something because they can't count either. Yes, I'm actually comparing the Ducks to the freaking Phoenix Coyotes again. Ugh. So they lead the league in that. Something else the Ducks are amongst the top teams in this season has been unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. Twice October 30th. Yeah, they got 2 of them in that game at Pittsburgh. Then there was the Dia de los Muertos game against the Coyotes. They got an unsportsmanlike there. How about the 22nd? A bad unsportsmanlike there. January 5th. You see where I'm going with this? The bad ones. Twice against the Columbus Blue Jackets on February 21st. Just a few weeks ago, where you had some shenanigans going on with Gudis, Vetrano, Olivier, Danforth. That was pretty bad, folks. And then you had the last couple of games. One of the worst ones was just not this last game, but the previous game, the one that I got really upset about against the New York Islanders. Again, if you are going to get a penalty against you, the least you could do is just go about your way, go about your business, go into the box, and just accept it. But no, Alex Killorn had to say some words, then slam the door right in front of the ref. Stupid, unsportsmanlike penalty. Those are the kind of penalties that you should not be taking. Too many, you cannot blame that on the refs. Delay of game penalties, you cannot blame that on the refs, and the Ducks have had a lot of those as well. Unsportsmanlike, you can really not blame the refs for a lot of these because that's just, going under your own knife in that case. And the Ducks have done that way too many times this season. So, folks, I speak to you directly on this. I don't think there needs to be a change right away because I'm seeing the tweets, I'm seeing the posts, I've seen the comments. Is it time to get rid of Greg Cronin? He should be steering the Ducks right on this. It's his first season in coaching. I'm not going to say that yet. Now, what I would like is for Greg Cronin to tell these guys, look, I'm going to discipline you guys further if you keep taking these kind of penalties. And it felt like they were doing better for a while up until recently again. The Ducks were getting better at not taking those penalties that did not need to be taken. They were getting better until the last maybe couple of weeks. And they're back to their old tricks again. So I think Cronin has got to do something in the room. He's got to say something to the rest of the guys. Otherwise, they're just going to keep falling further and further behind. And that's not going to help anybody. All right, we're going to head into the first intermission. I'll talk just slightly more about this topic because I think there's a couple little tidbits that I want to get across. So we will get to that on the other side. Now a brief word from Sleeper. And folks, Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy hockey, and they are the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network, and especially daily fantasy hockey because with Sleeper, you could win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests, and you could also use it for daily fantasy NBA as well. And daily fantasy hockey, I mean, it's big time right now. You got some big scores on there. Just pick whether guys like McKinnon or McDavid or even Connor Bedard, if you want, will record more or less than their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, plus, minus, and more in any given game. To win 100 times bet, just guess correctly 8 player stats. You heard me, Ducks fans. You could win 100 times your money by playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Just use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. We're also brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. Patience, so underlined here, is what brings home the winning trophy and also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. Just visit ebaymotors.com and keep your ride or die alive. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. I'm going to talk a little bit more about these penalties that are haunting the Ducks this season. And another aspect where it's haunting them is the penalty kill. Now, taking so many penalties wouldn't be a big deal if their penalty kill was actually pretty good. It's not. It's really not good. In fact, the Ducks right now have the 4th worst penalty kill percentage in all of hockey. A miserable 74.2%. The only teams worse on the PK. The Ottawa Senators, 73.8%. The San Jose Sharks, 73.6%. And the Islanders, what are they doing down there? 72.2%. Wait, you mean to tell me the Ducks couldn't get a power play goal against the worst PK in the league? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. By the way, right there with the Ducks, the Minnesota Wild have a 74.4 penalty kill. If the Ducks are going to get some power play goals, Minnesota's the team to do it against. So maybe a slight preview, a slight 20-second preview. The Ducks need to get on the power play. They got to draw some penalties, and they've got to strike against another bottom 5 PK in the Minnesota Wild. That's the Ducks' best chances. Stay disciplined, stay out of the box, get Minnesota in the box, and strike there. Oh, by the way, one final stat. The Anaheim Ducks are by far last in the league in power play goals allowed, 68. The next highest is Minnesota with 57. After that, there's a bunch of teams with 50. Almost everyone else has 40-something, and the elite teams have 20-something. The best team by far, PK, the Los Angeles Kings, 86.3%. They've only allowed 28 power play goals this season. The Ducks have more than doubled that. Ick is right. So I talked about the no discipline part. I talked about that. Let's talk about the elimination number for the Anaheim Ducks. As of this recording, we're recording this on Wednesday. This will be out on Wednesday. The Anaheim Ducks have 49 points with 18 games left to play. They are 26 points out of a playoff spot. Vegas is ahead of them in the standings. 26 points out, 18 games left to play. The elimination number for the Anaheim Ducks is at 7, which means 7 more points lost, and they will be officially eliminated from playoff contention. Oh, but you know who did get eliminated? The Chicago Blackhawks got eliminated because Vegas won. The San Jose Sharks, they also got eliminated because Vegas won. So the Sharks and the Blackhawks are now out of playoff contention. Har, har, har. Yeah. Am I saying this looks bad? Yeah, this looks bad. And I actually need to take this back because as of this recording, the Ducks are actually, yeah, it was 28 points. Not 26. 28 points out of a playoff spot. So, yeah. They're really not going to make the playoffs. Also, I should point out, Minnesota is right there at 71 points. They are desperate to get a playoff spot. So if the Ducks have any chance to win any of these games against Minnesota coming up, they've got to play desperate, stay out of the box, and watch out for Minnesota playing desperate hockey. That's all I'm going to say. So the elimination number, once again, is at 7. They are 5 points behind the Columbus Blue Jackets. With the win, the Chicago Blackhawks are at 41 points, San Jose still at 39. If the Ducks were to lose out the rest of the season, Chicago would have to win 4 games, San Jose would have to win 5 games, and that would secure a top 3 pick for the Anaheim Ducks and secure the worst record in the NHL. Not that I'm saying I'm rooting for that, but I don't want to see Chicago get the top pick again. I just don't. I know practically every Ducks fan or practically every NHL fan doesn't want to see Chicago get the top pick again. So, you know what? Tank is on, baby. It is tank time full on. Yes, I'm rooting for the tank, folks. We're going to head into the second intermission right now, do a quick reset, and we're going to end on a lighter note and talk about some shoes. It's got to be about the shoes. Shoes. Stay locked in. Now, a brief word from FanDuel. That is right. It is March. All the madness is happening. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the NCAA tournament. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a 1 seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You could even pick who's going to win it all. Could it be Purdue maybe? Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. And please, folks, gamble responsibly. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Once again, you're locked in with Jason JD Hernandez. I'm fighting the sun here, which is why I'm kind of back here, not right here. We're going to wrap up with a lighter note here as I check the boxes on my Post-it note because, I have to end on a positive note here. Let's talk about shoes. Now, I did not go to the Ducks game this past Sunday. I didn't wait in that long line. But for those of you that missed it, the Ducks and Vans had one of the best collaborations that I've seen in a long, long time. And you know what? I'm going to do my due diligence and... Oh, that's terrible. I'm going to go this way, actually. That's even worse. I'm going to be fighting the sun right here, folks. Bam, here we go. So this collab features 3 shoe designs from Vans. 3 very unique designs from Vans. And I'm going to go through all 3 of them in no particular order. I'm going to start with the low tops, the orange ones. This is the Wild Wing edition. This one's cool. I like low tops. This has the iconic checkerboard design that Vans made so famous. And it's an orange and white checkerboard, and on the white squares, you have the OG logo for the Anaheim Ducks. Or sorry, the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. Let's be real here. This is the OG logo for the Mighty Ducks in the white squares. That negative space they use to perfection. I like the orange in this. I even like the orange. It looks really cool. I dig this a lot. This one's really cool. I like it a lot. But if we go to the next one, these black ones, this is the player edition. These are also customized because they have swappable patches. I don't know if you can see on this picture, but there's a little Velcro piece on the outer portion of the shoes, and you could customize with your own patches. You could put your own number on it. So if you're a fan of Troy Terry like I am, you could have number 19 on the sides. If you want to go old school, put 93 on the sides. If your favorite player is Pavel Mintyukov, I know a lot of you love Minty right now, number 34. Or maybe you're a fan of... Who else could you be a fan of? Maybe John Gibson. I mean, maybe you love seeing a goalie fight. Gibby, number 36. The swappable patches are really cool. But the coolest things about this particular shoe, the bottom has kind of an ice, I guess, like transparent, translucent type of bottom. And below that, you have the logo for the 30th anniversary. But inside the flap, on the inner flap, where it shows your shoe size, it says off the wall, on the board. You know what? That's kind of perfection right there. I love that little detail on the shoes. So something I like a lot. And finally, we have the Legacy Edition. The old school eggplant and jade. We're going old school with these ones. You have the high tops. You have the eggplant all the way up. You have jade on the bottom and on the inside. You have the original Mighty Ducks logo on the back of the shoe. These are amazing. I think out of all 3, those might be my favorite one. I would have liked if we had the off the floor or off the wall, off the board on these ones as well. Which makes it a little bit tough, So I'll ask you, the folks on YouTube. I'll ask you on audio. I'll maybe put a poll out on Twitter. Which shoe should I get? Should I get the Legacy Edition, the Wild Wing Edition, the Players Edition? I mean, this one's kind of hard to tell. Could I get all 3? Sure. But I'm going to stick with one. And by the way, you folks can get your shoes too because they are on sale until this weekend. So they're doing a pre-order summer drop. And presumably what they're going to do is they're going to make the shoes, they're going to make them to order, and they'll be available during the summer, get them shipped to you, or pick it up at the Ponda, which is what I'm going to do to save on shipping. But yeah, I am going to get one, just don't know which one. The price is pretty good, about $100. Not bad, not bad at all. So what do y'all think of these shoes? I think they're cool, folks. So once again, check out the Anaheim team store. Yeah. All right. We are going to wrap up completely off topic because, I just want to bring this out there because of my podcast. So I've had a few friends that have been on Jeopardy recently, and one of my good friends, Brian Henniger, who's a big time sports person, he was on the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions. He lost in the semifinals. So just want to give a quick shout out to Brian Henniger, who made it all the way to the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions semifinals. And yeah, Tournament of Champions is going on right now. So if you notice that I might not be tweeting a whole lot between 7 and 7:30 Pacific time, I'm watching Jeopardy, folks. And also I have another friend that's in the Tournament of Champions finals. So yeah, checking out those watch parties. So yeah, maybe you'll watch that tonight. Maybe you won't. Who knows? So just want to get that out there. All right, that's going to do it for today. Once again, check out the previous episode about Fight Night in Chicago. It's a fun one. Check that one out. In the meantime, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget this podcast is free and available across all platforms, including Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc., etc. You could follow me on X at StimpyJD, and the show's X is at LO_Ducks. The mailbag is going to be officially open next week, so start to get your questions in right now. Send me your questions either on X, Twitter, or send me an email, lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. So yeah, mailbag is open. Send me your questions. I will answer them next week. In the meantime, thank you all so much for your continued support. It is so greatly appreciated. For Locked On Anaheim Ducks, I'm Jason J.D. Hernandez saying have a great rest of the afternoon and evening. Please remember to be safe out there, be kind to one another, and ducks fly together.